Hello, my name is David, and on this video we'll be looking at some very simple statistics that we can extract from a time series that I have already on the screen. I have downloaded this data in advance for this video. We could cover where this data can be obtained, but for the purposes of this video I will be just taking this for granted. But there are several sources and I'll make another video to cover this. In this case, what we're looking at the screen is a time series for the SPX, that's the Standard & Poor's 500. That's one of the main US indexes. So the time series we're seeing there on the screen is a daily time series. So each one of those rows represents the open, the high, the low, and the close price for any given day. So you can see on column A there's the date there, and then column B, C, D, and E the prints for the open, the high, low, and close. So one of the things that we can do with this data is, for example, we can look, was it an up day or a down day? And we can quickly get that data from the information we have there. So let's do that calculation first. So now, as you can see, we have the number of points gained or lost in any given day for the data we have on the screen. Now we could work with this data as it is, but it is actually not very useful, because if you think about this, when looking, for instance, data that goes far back into, say in this case 2014, a day that gains 6 points is not the same as if you, for example, looking at July this year, for example, where it gained 30 points, because as the index has a higher value, the average number of points that gains or loses is different. So what we'll be calculating here is a percentage of that value, which will be a much more useful metric for us to look into this data. So let's do this. So I'll just label this column. So in this case it's the close minus open, so basically let's correct that typo. And now we'll do the same in a different column, and we will calculate the percentage. So it's still the close minus open, but in percentage. Of course, you could name something different. You could have called it percentage gain or percentage loss. There's no right or wrong way to do this. It's whatever suits you and wherever you find it most obvious or better. So let's calculate the percentage for these values. We'll calculate the percentage in regards to the open print of the day. So there you go. We have now a column that shows you how much percent was at any given day was gained or lost by the Standard & Poor's index. We'll just for easy visualization, we just reduce the number of decimal units. We don't need 5, and there you go. That's the value. So now with these values here, we can start doing some very simple statistics that might be useful for us. For example, well, to start with, let's think about, how many days of data we're looking here. Let's just put some space here. Let's count how many days we have on our data. I just randomly chose some. I didn't randomly, but I just took a good chunk of data from 8th of April 2014 all the way to 23rd of July 2021. So how many days worth of data do we have here? So let's count the data here. let's count. What's our last row? It's 1847. So 1847. So we can clearly see that our time series contains 1,837 days. It's a large chunk of data, not too big, but for the purposes of this video is more than enough data. Okay, so let's just rearrange this better. There you go. So we know the days. What other interesting information we could get from this? One typical one is, of course, what's the average, of gains and losses for at any, what's the average for gain or loss for these time series. So again, it's pretty straightforward, but this is just a video to cover very simple things. What did I say was our last? So 1847. There you go. Average. Doesn't tell us much. It tells us that the average was a gain of 0.02%. Again, not very useful, but it's there if we want to calculate it. What else can we calculate? Let's do something more interesting. Let's say we want to know, out of 1,837 days, we want to know how many days were up days. Okay, so let's say count the number of days that had a gain bigger than 0. Okay, let's ignore the days where it was exactly 0. So we just want a small gain, even if it's small. We just want to know, well, not a small gain, but we want to know if it was a gain, small or otherwise. So that's easy as well. We can just type this count if, then the same, we give the same range as before. But now we want just the greater than zeros. So that's a very useful formula to know for Excel. And I have already a typo. Where is that typo? And there we can see that we have 997 days that had a gain. Okay, we can also visualize this. Again, I prefer to see it in terms of percentage. How much is that? So you can see this 54.27% of the days were actually a gain. So of course, if we do a similar for negative days, and again the same for this, for the percentage. We can see quickly that we had a fair number of days that were we can see there was a fair extra number of gain days, as opposed to days where the index was down, roughly 4.27% more up days than down days. Okay, so this is already useful. You can quickly get a perception, and of course you can do this calculation for different ranges. You can do it just with data just for this year, or the current month, or the previous month. So you can choose whatever suits for the study that you're doing, or for the time series that you're doing the study. Okay, so what else can we look at that? So we already got those. We can, other things that can sometimes be useful, we can look at the median, for example. Let's see what the median is for this set of data. So the median is 0.05%. that's actually, we can do a quick rearrange of this data. Let's just put that data underneath the average. It makes more sense. Okay, so now we have the very simple table here with some data for the time series that we're looking at. What I'm going to do now in this video is I'm going to let's do a count. Let's see how often, for example, how often is an update of, you know, let's say a generous number of 1%. How often is a day that has a 1% gain for the Standard & Poor's 500? Similarly, we could do a count for how much for 2% gain or more, or the same study for a negative, for a down day. So basically what we're going to build here is an histogram. We're going to create small buckets and count how many days fall within that bucket. So let's say we've created a bucket of from 0% to 0.1%. So how many days had a gain between 0 and 0.1? And of course, the next bucket will be a 0.1 to 0.2% gain, and count how many days. And we'll do this for this, and we'll see what information can we take from this histogram. So to start with, let's just do another two bits of information that will help us out on this task, which is what is the maximum gain observed for this time series, for this time range I have here. So that's again very straightforward to do in Excel. So the maximum gain we have here for this particular time series is a 5.49%. And similarly, if we do the minimum, there we go. For minimum, we have a loss of, or a down day of minus 5.71%. So when we're going to build our histogram here, we know that the maximum value is 5.49 and the minimum will be minus 5.71. So that will be useful information to build our histogram. The other thing I want to note as I go along through this is that, as you can clearly see from me typing and from my comments, is that you do not have to be an advanced user of Excel. You don't have to have a fluency for this. You can do this with some very basic knowledge, and the important thing is not that you do this quickly or very efficiently, but the fact is that you do it, that you are able to take information out of this that is useful for you, that you're learning something, that it's helping you reach your objectives or your aims, whatever those might be. So just keep that in mind. And I've just realized that this video is getting a bit long, so I'll stop here and carry on another video. I'll create a part 2 for this video. I want to keep these videos small and short, so they're easy to go through and easy to digest. Meanwhile, I'd like to invite you to drop me any questions or comments you have about this video or a related subject. Either drop a comment below, as I said, or write me an email. I'll be more than happy to address any issues that you have. Also, if you find this video useful, if you find it interesting, if it motivates you, please press that thumbs up and subscribe to this channel if you want to get a notification for new videos. Thank you very much for watching, and see you soon.